Hi.
Good morning.
Hi, sis.
Good morning. Yeah. Is it a good morning?
It is a good morning. It's a very good morning. We're together and we're doing our function, performing our function. Yes. Lesson 61, moving right along. I am the light of the world. You can almost feel the ego want to grab that and go, yeah.
Or the opposite, right?
Hmm,
It's still the same. I noticed that with myself. It's an ego with its uh, arrogance, and
hmm,
calling it humility, false humility.
right.
It says, I can't be the light of the world. That's impossible.
That's
Right?
right.
So
How,
it's either one or the other, and it's both of them are the ego, right?
right.
Mm.
Positive or negative, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, oh, that's what the ego does. Okay. So it's trying to interpret something and give something meaning right out of the gate. Well, let's see what Jesus has to say. Do you want to read this one, sis?
Okay, who is the light of the world except God's Son? By the way, if you haven't got it already, that means us. Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
a little slow. Are you sure?
yeah.
Okay.
This then is merely a statement of the truth about yourself. It is the opposite of a statement of pride, of arrogance, or of self deception. It does not describe the self concept you have made. It does not refer to any of the characteristics with which you have endowed your idols. It refers to you as you were created by God. It simply states the truth. To the ego, today's idea is the epitome of self glorification. But the ego does not understand humility, mistaking it for self debasement. Humility consists of accepting your role in salvation and in taking no other. It is not humility. It is not, sorry, I'm just laughing to myself. Forgive me, okay? Because there's this fly, fruit fly, right? And it's got the ego tattooed on its backside. And it just keeps coming in between my glasses and my eye as I'm reading this. It's
Uh,
the ego, right?
if it's not the computer breaking down or lagging, it's a fruit fly in the eye.
You've just got to laugh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lord. If you don't laugh, you cry. Take it seriously. Okay. The fruit flies out of my eye, and I shall read that sentence again.
Thank you.
It is, it is not humility to insist you cannot be the light of the world if that is the function God assigned for you to you, right?
Mhm.
It is only arrogance, the ego's arrogance, that would assert this function cannot be for you. And arrogance is always of the ego.
Mm. Can we unpack that a little
Yeah,
bit?
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Because the world, let's face it, when we identify in mythical me, the entire world is set up that in order to be okay, in order to receive love, and to survive or thrive in this world, we must come out, be separate, advance, better the mythical me, enhance the mythical me, its body, its mind, its job, its paycheck, right? It's add to it. It's really to just glorify what we think we are. And it is really now that the workbook lessons are saying it's a turning around and it's coming within and it's a disidentification with who you think you are. And that requires letting go of everything that you thought you've amassed and achieved. And to the ego, that's destruction. That is a huge move for weakness. It says that you are going to lose everything that you are, and that's a very dangerous thing to do. And yet what he's showing us is what we are in truth as one with God. We possess the kingdom of heaven already. There's nothing that we can add to or do to what God has already created. And it's only in the act of humility, in surrender, and accepting and allowing how God has created us, that restores everything to our awareness. So the ego says you are self-destructing, and Holy Spirit saying you're letting go of what has never been to receive all that you already are. So notice that it's completely opposite. And it is arrogance to say, God, I know better than you, or God, I reject what you have created. I'll take my false replacement instead. That's the height of arrogance. So but in the deepest humility, the truth about you is restored to your awareness, and you discover, what you are in truth, which is the Christ. Sis, anything?
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, just to add to that,
Yeah.
or support what you're saying there, sis, I think is that when I began the course, I did what I think probably every student does, which is to believe that, like you said, we've got to, it's the small self or the ego self in our mind that thinks it's got to heal, it's got to increase its self-esteem, and it's got to become a better me or a better self, right? And then it starts to take on what I call a spiritual ego.
Yeah.
And then it starts to have these grand illusions of spiritual superiority, because it sees a sleeping world out there, family, friends, etc., and then starts to feel superior.
That's right. Yeah, I know something that everybody else doesn't know.
Yeah.
The mythical me knows something.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it gets triggered even more so by these people's egos. Yeah. So it kind of, that is not the holy self. That is the false self putting on spiritual clothing. Yeah. Okay. Right. So the transfer from the false self to the holy self, and it is a transfer.
Yes.
Okay. It's not done really by it's not done by the false identity we think we are. Okay. The part of us that believes and sure that it knows our own best interests. I know what I need. I know what I need to look after my body. I know what I need in the bedroom with my partner. Right? Woo-hoo, sexually. I know about pleasure. I know what pleasure I need to keep myself going. I know I need money. I know. That part is the false self. We're not to feel guilty about it.
No.
Right? We're not to feel guilty about it, but through these lessons, these earlier lessons, which are really undoing layers of that false self, we're learning that self is not to be improved upon.
Right.
Okay. It is to be undone, as you've explained. And it's undone every time we catch ourselves, falling for the ego thought, particularly judgment, which means every time we align in the right mind with Holy Spirit, and we then are willing to forgive our mistaken perception of whatever it is, right? Okay. Because underneath that mistaken perception is only one problem. And that's that we must have believed we were separate from God and our brothers and sisters.
Right.
And that means we must have believed we are the ego and not the holy self. Right.
Right.
Okay. Because as we advance, in other words, as we forgive, because that's our function, that's our soul function, really. As we forgive, that forgiveness undoes the false self, right? And in that undoing of the false self, guess what happens? The truth of who we are is revealed.
That's right. That's that dropping of the filter, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then with that too, is we drop the ego's addiction
Mhm.
to always trying to, what's the word for it? Like excel or compete with others,
Mm.
right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
always trying to compete with us at the expense,
Mhm.
um, you know, of others in a way, right?
Yeah.
So it's that transfer from the ego to the holy self as we do these lessons, as we forgive, that we get to see um, that we're coming into the holy self more and more as we get to recognize that we share that will
Yes.
with everyone else.
That's
What
it.
is that will? I mean, at the foundation for me
Mhm.
is innocence.
Mhm.
That's what it all comes down to. We share that incorruptible innocence with everyone.
Right.
And the more we come to recognize that, the more we're actually seeing in the light of the holy self.
Right.
Yeah.
So it feels like the spiritual ego is the ego's the one that starts taking these course lessons, and it starts to amass knowledge of how everything works, and it starts to come up and it starts wearing spiritual clothes, and it comes up to this top where it has a lot of truth. It's got truth in our mind, and we're understanding how it all operates. And then there seems to be a plateau. And you think, well, Jesus is talking about all these miracles and healings, and why is this not happening? It's at that point that the surrender of there's a seeing where the mind recognizes that it's educated itself out of itself, and it comes to a place of, oh, the only mind that there is God. So that place from knowing, a lot of truth and moving beyond that is the love. It's like, okay, I'm no longer studying to amass or create a better mythical me. I'm transcending my self-interests. I'm actually wanting innocence, not for Coreen, but for my holy self and the sonship. So once we're willing to move beyond self-interest, that's that tipping point where the spiritual ego starts falling away, and we're willing to accept that all there is to me, my mind, my love, my life is God. And I share that with the entire sonship. I think that really is that line of where you step away from the spiritualized ego. So no judgment, guys. This is the natural progression of things. So wherever you are on that, just please trust and be grateful that you're here at all learning this, and that it will happen for you because of your desire.
Beautiful. Thank you, sis.
Well, thank you. Your explanation was perfect. Thank
Well,
you.
I hope we're not confusing everyone more, by bringing all this in, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if you don't get it, know that it's the table's just being set. Just keep coming back and taking this in, and Holy Spirit, your inner teacher, will unpack it so that you'll see it. It'll be explained within to you in a way that you can get it. Thanks. Keep going. So what are you on paragraph 3?
Yep.
Yeah.
True humility requires that you accept today's idea. I am the light of the world, because it is God's voice which tells you it is true. This is a beginning step in accepting your real function on earth. It is a giant stride towards taking your rightful place in salvation. It is a positive assertion of your right to be saved and an acknowledgement of the power that is given you to save others. As the light of the world, that's what we're here for. You will want to think about this idea as often as possible today. It is the perfect answer to all illusions and therefore to all temptation. It brings all the images you have made about yourself to the truth. That's the light, right?
That's right.
So, I just want to just unpack this a little bit here. It brings all the images you've made about yourself. In other words, the only way we can make images about ourselves is in the darkness, without the light, right? So he's saying it brings all the images you've made about yourself to the truth and the light, and helps you depart in peace, unburdened and certain of your purpose. What a relief, right?
Yes.
As many practice periods as possible should be undertaken today, although each one need not exceed a minute or two. They should begin with telling yourself this: I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I am here. All right. I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I'm here. Now, a thought's just come in. This is not written in the lesson, but a thought just came in then, and I'd like to share it with you. If I am the light of the world, I cannot be anything else. Okay? So as soon as I get hoodwinked by the ego to believe I am something else, and that false humility comes in, I can remember then, wait a minute, I'm either the light of the world, or I'm living out an illusion as the ego. I can't be both. This is crucial because, in the moments that I do believe I'm the light of the world, the ego actually ceases to exist in my mind, in my awareness at that moment, right?
Right.
Okay. But when I choose to be preoccupied by ego thoughts and I believe what it's telling me in my mind, then I lose awareness of being the light of the world. Of course, I am the light of the world, even though I forget I'm the light of the world. Remember that. Okay.
God as the light is in our mind. It's always there for us to choose between. And once you've chosen one, it totally eclipses your remembrance of the other in your awareness, which is why we're learning you do have a choice. You're either looking in the dark at images, false images of yourself, or you can withdraw that choice and choose to be what you really are in your function as the light of the world. And light and darkness cannot coexist together.
No, one replaces the other in our awareness. Thank you for clarifying that, sis. So then think about these statements for a short while. I am the light of the world. That is my only function. That is why I'm here. Think about these statements for a short while, preferably with your eyes closed in the situation, if the situation permits. Let a few related thoughts come to you and repeat the idea to yourself if your mind wanders away from the central thought, I am the light of the world. Be sure both to begin and end the day with a practice period. Thus, you will awaken with an acknowledgement of the truth about yourself, right? Reinforce it throughout the day, and turn to sleep as you reaffirm your function and your only purpose here. These two practice periods may be longer than the rest if you find them helpful and want to extend them. Today's idea goes far beyond the ego's petty views of what you are and what your purpose is. As a bringer of salvation, this is obviously necessary. This is the first of a number of giant steps we will take in the next few weeks. Try today to begin to build a firm foundation for these advances. You are the light of the world. God has built his plan for the salvation of his son on you.
Wow.
Well, that's a responsibility and a half, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Well, it just really takes, you are your function, your purpose here is the salvation of the world, to be the light for every brother, sister in the sonship. God's whole plan of salvation rests upon us being in our function. Yeah. And when that false humility comes in, say no, because God has declared that I am the light of the world. Has God changed his mind about me?
Let's think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Just joking. Thank you.
Thanks,
Well,
everybody.
thanks everyone.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed this lesson. I am the light of the world. Thank you.
Lesson 61. See you next time, guys. Thank you. Thanks.
Bye.